All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We will be doing this as the fourth captain interview. I have the captains of the Steel Rollers here today. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hello, I'm Illyako.
Hello,
Um,
I'm spades.
All right. I'm happy to have you guys here. You want to give us a little background on you guys, your captain experience?
Yeah, I've captained this particular league twice already with Lamuro, who decided to ditch me this season, which was pretty rude, but here we are.
I haven't captained in this league, but I've captained in some other leagues. Most prominently, the lure ball format that SCD A ran a few seasons back. I captained our team to a second place finish, only losing in the final round to Spades' team that he joined halfway through the season. And they cheated in the finals and gave us a disqualification.
Gotta win
That's
how we can win, right?
Yeah.
That's fire.
It
That's
was
fire. That's
actually
fire.
a really cool format because it was similar in that it was three different formats entirely, but instead of all being VGC, one was singles, one was normal VGC, and then one was 6v6 doubles, and
Oh,
you had
yeah, I
to
did
use
play
the
in that.
same
Mm-hmm.
and you had to use the same team. It was really interesting.
All right. I know you play Magic the Gathering. Do you have any background there? Doing that kind of thing or
Uh,
no?
yeah, so I've been to three pro tours and I've day two'd them all, and I cashed two of them. But granted, two of those pro tours were during COVID, so they were online, so they were a little less prestigious.
Mm-hmm.
But the first pro tour I went to was in Barcelona in 2019. And it was excellent and wonderful, but the city was very stinky at that time. It was in the middle of summer. I think they were having a sewage problem. And then I got lost on the way to the airport, and I almost
Oh
missed my
no, you
flight
get
back.
lost and shit.
Yeah,
That sucks.
but yeah, I've played Magic competitively for quite a while. A big fan of it. It's a good game,
It
etc.,
is.
etc.
All right, we're gonna go on to the next question here. What are your guys' expectations going into this tour?
So I guess from myself is to meet some new people. I think that's what last season was. There were a lot of people who I never uh, did anything with or talked to at all. So it's cool to do that. Some of those guys still play drafts, but like in this league, some of them haven't signed up. So that's one of my expectations. And then as far as like performance wise, you shoot for the stars. Got to make the playoffs. Got to do better than last season.
Yep. I'm in a pretty similar boat. This is my first time captaining in this league, of course, but so I do want to just meet more people. When me and Spades actually were talking about some of the applicants, there were so many people that I had never heard of and that had played in leagues that I'd never heard of. So I do look forward to just learning more about everybody. And then as far as season expectations, I want to my number one expectation for myself is to help keep like an organized and on task team environment, as far as making sure we have plenty of people to mocks, making sure things go smoothly, making sure that any sort of arguments or disagreements come to a fair conclusion that everyone can be satisfied with, even if they're not necessarily happy with.
Mm-hmm.
Just keeping things organized.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, there are a lot of applicants this season, especially a lot of people who come from the main VGC scene.
Yeah, which
Of
we
course,
have
they don't
no
really
idea who
use.
any of them are. Yeah.
We don't really use their IRL names here. Not some. Some of them don't. Some do. And you might have to go. You have to go out of your way to research like whose Discord username is tied to who. Like who's this IRL person, right? That's always going to be something that's a little bit of a problem to go through with, just because of how different Discord is.
Yeah, it's also difficult to suss out, like just based on like an application or talking to somebody for a minute, like which VG like normal VGC skills transfer over to a draft environment
I
and
would
so
say
on.
most do. I would say most do. You have the base ability to play, right? It's mostly just draft comes down to like prep and stuff. But in the end, most of these VGC guys will be able to play very well.
Yeah,
Um,
no doubt at all. No doubt at all.
all right. Next, sir, what are your guys' thoughts on the current formats? Our formats are SV Terra Preview, VGC Regulation 9 for Swish, and VGC 2018 for USA.
Am I allowed to say it?
Yeah, you can. So go ahead and say what you need to say.
Bring back black and white.
Bring back black and white.
I missed that. I will ask a question. Why did NatDex get excluded?
That was my thought as well. I liked having one Nat Dex and one Uso.
I mean,
Not
it
to
doesn't
complain
bother
about
me.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
So NetDex had one of the issues of the one issue with NetDex was the decks was so large, especially because when our season, for our season last season, we had cut megas out, and megas are kind of like a key point in NetDex, and it felt kind of wrong to cut them out at that point in time. Because you're playing with no Mega Mens, no Mega Maw, no Yard, right? All these guys were pretty good Mega Meta, you know that. And the reason we cut them season 3 was because Mega Meta and Mega Gengar were so broken that we didn't want to just exclude exclusively those two megas because it felt kind of weird to do that. So it was like, let's do all megas. And there's a lot of like here or there kind of rules for Nat decks. So it's like you make up like quote unquote rules, right? Because normally Nat decks you'd be able to use like Z moves and like gems and like all these sorts of things. But we wouldn't allow those sort of things. So there's a bunch of arbitrary rules that we had to put into place for Nat decks.
Yeah, it just got too complicated.
Mm-hmm. And it was kind of like, especially like if you're looking at like some of these guys who came in from the main scene who were really joining, maybe for like some of them, it might have been a bit off-putting. Be like, well, what's NatDex, right? Like, there's like way too much going on here. It's a fun format for sure.
Making it feel like its own format feels like it's hard too, because like if you put Terra in it, oh, it just feels like a Gen 9 league. You put Z crystals in it, oh, it just feels like Gen 7. You put Megas in it, well, that's just all it feels like is Megas. So if you want like differences like between Scarlet Violet, Sword and Shield, and Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, they all feel very different as far as formats go. NatDex is kind of trying to be one of those plus more, which makes sense to me.
Aside from NatDex, are Gen 9 formats Regulation H, right? The no legendaries,
No, they are Regulation F. I mean, we have legendaries. It's not Regulation H.
Okay. I wonder if it would have been interesting to have one of the Gen 9 formats be the completely non-legendary one then. But that's just a general thought. I have no complaints or anything.
I think if we were to do a regulation here, it probably would be Regulation H. I think Regulation H works much better in an 8-man format when it's better than a 16-man format. There's just not enough Pokemon to go around in 16-man. However, in 8-man, which is what our drafting size is, it probably would work a bit better. Again, I just think Regulation F probably should just be the standard format if in Draft League. Especially because it's just like you playing with basically the entire decks other than legendaries. Because we have Wake and Leaves included here. So that's basically the entire decks.
Just so that I can remember, Regulation F, that's the normal basic format, yeah? You have your
DLC, that's post DLC too.
Yeah. And then Regulation H, that's the no legendaries at all, yeah?
Yeah, no legendaries at all, correct.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you categorize it, so Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, you pick 2018, which is the entire decks, plus all the other stuff. Sword and Shield, you pick, Series 9, which is everything except Restricteds, and then for this, it's everything but Restricteds, which is Reg F. So I guess as far as a linearity perspective, they're all on the same line for that.
Yeah.
Right. That's the important thing. This is a key consistency between all the formats.
Yeah, for consistency.
And like I said, no complaints. I was just saying it would have been interesting if it was like, since we have 3 Gen 9s, if they were 2 of the normal format and then like 1 of the non-legendary. But again, no complaints or anything. Just it was a thought about what might have been interesting.
It was Series 9 and Series 10.
That was season 1. We didn't really like the legendary format from season 1. We felt that it really benefited the first couple picks because they would get very, very strong restricteds. We had
Oh, it was
mentioned that
terrible.
I think somebody had like a Reshiram or something because they got completely screwed over by like pick order. Like they're just not that fair. At least in a competitive sense. This is
Yeah, it
really
was a
hard to balance
really
out like
unfun format.
that
I
kind of format.
100% agree.
I
Yeah.
know, I know SCDA at one point ran a restricted format in one of their things. I think this was auction where we did double, where there were 2 of each restricted in the pool, and it was like a 16-man league. Do you remember what specifically that was, Spades?
It was every mon in the pool. So it was restricteds, megas, mythicals, completely different.
Oh, fair enough. But but was it that was back in Gen 8, yeah?
Yes, it was Gen 8. Yeah.
Huh. But yeah, that was. I don't know how effective that was from like a people running the format standpoint, but it was interesting as a player in the sense that you talked about some people getting screwed over just by getting later in the draft order, and it felt like it alleviated that, at least from a player perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Just remove restricteds from everything. That's the
Yeah, true.
easiest thing. Let's just do that.
Oh, Aldrich is
Yeah,
not gonna like that one. He's not gonna like that one. All right,
Wait, who's not liking that one?
in general,
Aldrich.
I do
I'm
like the
sorry.
non-restricted formats more. Yeah.
All right. Next question. What are your thoughts on best of 7 versus best of 8? If you don't know, this season of STC, due to getting enough player apps, will be best of 8 instead of best of 7, which is what we traditionally have done.
Best. I hate ties so much.
I didn't know that. What's the 8th format going to be?
The 8th format will be a rotating. It will be a rotating slot. It will go from SV, Swish, Usum. You're gonna play 3 SV in the entire season, an extra 2 Switch, and an extra 2 Usum.
That's honestly pretty cool. I know. Again, even though I don't like ties, I think that's interesting and cool. Oh, way to do it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I just don't like ties. So that's my only input here is that I prefer best of like 5, 7, 9. Like, the ones where there's a clear winner.
Mm.
Ties just feel like but
Ties
that's
that
just
I've ties for me keep the season kind of close. At least here in draft, historically, when the tours that I've had ties so far, it's always kept the standings very, very close. Even by like week 6, like even the teams in bottom seed can still make playoffs potentially. Which is really, really, really competitive. It keeps everything very, very close. Especially
I know that.
normally by like week 6, like 2 or 3 teams are out, and then they're just not trying, right? So whoever has them, like in the last week, is just like they're just gonna steamroll them, pretty much.
This is a bit off topic, but I know that, or if I understand correctly, in a lot of the singles leagues, the high performing singles leagues, SPL, I think, and so on, they do like a best of 8 format with ties as well. They all
Mhm.
seem to like that, but I don't know anything about it really, other than that.
Yeah. They also do the best of 8 format. It also lets people just be able to play people more, which is pretty important. Everyone got to get some play time, right? That's the most important
oh
thing.
for sure.
So you
Having
can
more
just play more
people
people.
play is awesome. Yeah, very much approve of that sense.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Maybe we'll get enough applicants for best of 9.
Ooh, maybe we're at like I think almost at 140 right now.
It's
How many
wild.
would we need to get to best of 9?
I don't know yet. We probably could do it now, but I don't know.
175.
We'll
We're
have to
setting a
math.
number
We'd have to
now.
math that one out. We'd have to math that
If
one
we get
out.
to 175, that's the community goal.
I want
175.
200 apps. Are you kidding me?
200 apps. All right, 200 apps. We get best of 9. We're doing it now.
Wait,
All
but
right.
Spades, you want best of 9. You got to set it at 160.
Well, no, but it's called collaborating with the person who can actually make these changes. So if it's
Yeah,
200, we're going for 200. We're getting it.
yeah, fair enough.
All right. All right. Next question. What are your guys' values as a manager?
So participation and just kind of being a vocal part of the team is more important to me than any win-loss record or anything else as far as performance goes. If you're an active member and want to be part of the team, that is more important to me. Just being kind of there giving your thoughts, giving help, giving advice, and just being an all around good like person to like hang out with is way more important for me. So
For me, I like to see focus, drive, and communication. Spades mentioned communication as well. Just generally being the sort of person who will vocalize your thoughts to others, because part of the team environment isn't just being the best, it's helping everybody on your team be the best. So if you're the sort of person who can go win 100 games in a row, that's excellent, that's great. But I place extra value on being able to communicate those thoughts that are helping you win to your teammates so that they can understand them and grow and become better players as well over the course of the season. And on top of that, I really value just that drive and thirst to win. And you can tell when talking to somebody, even for just a couple minutes, whether they're there to have to just like meme around or whether they're going to be driven, they're going to be actively involved in everything, willing to do whatever they need to do, whether it be playing, mocking, etc., etc. Um, I'd like to see very driven people, and finally, I'd I mentioned this before as far as what I want to do in keeping things organized. I the reverse of that, or like the flip side of that, as far as like what I value in a player, is a person who is willing to stay on task. Is like the wrong phrasing here, but just is. I'll tell you a story. So in preparing for pro tours in the past, the or any large Magic tournament, we've done the best. I've done my best, and my friends have done our best when we've like sat there and mocked the same matchup over and over and over and over and over and over again. And this is obviously a little lower stakes than like going to a pro tour and playing for a bunch of money. I'm not expecting people to like spend 24/7 mocking, but just that idea of okay, let's hammer this out. I'm willing to be a person who is part of that process of hammering things out. In whatever specific role we need right then. That's something that I value highly.
I think we can just use Hopeless's winnings from VGC as the prize pool, then it feels more like a pro tour level. Am I right?
Oh, I
That's a
don't
good
know about
point.
that one. Not yet. Not yet. That's for WBG. That ain't for here. That's for WBG.
My only last comment will be one of my core values that I push for in my personal life is succeed together. And that is an excellent value to have to be part of a team in this league. Whether you're on our team or on another team, succeed together should be the core value you should go into this with.
Oh, that's a good value. That's a good value. Teamwork is very important. Right. Would you guys want to describe your managing styles?
Uh,
I'll buy you some time, Spades. Uh, I've said it before. I'll say it again here. Organized. Um, I find that in general, team environments work well when the expectations for everyone are clear and everyone has a clear role and everyone knows um, how things are going to go down. Uh, for me in particular, I would like to see something like. Let me describe this differently. Um, Organization, yeah, being organized while also making it so that everyone is okay. Actually, Spades, you buy me time now.
So can I ask? So you keep saying that you want to be like organized. You want teams that are like focused. What does that mean? What does that mean in like a sense of Pokemon Draft League, right? To be organized, to be focused. Because my teams are pretty chill. Like from my own experience, my teams are pretty chill. They vibe a lot, right? A lot of the time, we don't really talk about our own matchups. Sometimes we're just in the server, just talking about whatever. Very much not like staying on topic, all that kind of stuff, right? And that works. That's worked pretty well for my teams. having like a very chill, very friendly environment, right? Like, like how can you explain to like what do you mean by organized and focused?
I have been on teams of various sorts, not just Pokemon, in the past. I've been on successful teams as well, and successful teams that were more chill like yours. But I've also been on a lot of teams where, because expectations were unclear, and because what's the word? The process by which things are done and so on was unclear. Uh, People just weren't able to accomplish what they needed to accomplish. People weren't motivated to accomplish what they needed to accomplish, and uh, and arguments don't get resolved very well. And I think in any sort of team environment, there's going to be disagreements and arguments. Actually, let me say it like this: the worst feeling in the world is when you, as somebody who has a voice but no authority, don't feel like your argument was heard or understood in like a collaborative environment. And that's like something like pretty universal.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me it's important that the mechanisms are in place by which decisions can be reached, like things can be finalized, but in such a way that even the person who is who loses the argument, who's told no, here's how we're going to do things, understands that they were understood.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so both are important there, right? Resolution and understanding, and
So
that's
you
what I'm
want to,
trying to
so
get
you want
across.
everybody to be heard, right? You want everybody to have a voice. You don't want anybody to feel like they're being undermined, right?
Yeah, I
But like
want people to
anything.
know that they were understood, even when things don't go their way.
Okay. Okay. I see that.
And
That could be a
at the
big
same
problem for a
time,
lot of people, especially in draft. Newer players come in. Sometimes like you're at least for your singles tours. I've had this happen quite a bit, where like a higher cost player will kind of like undermine whatever like the newer players would say, and just be like, "We're just gonna do what I want," and then like the captains kind of just go with it because they spent like 40K on that person to like lead the team, pretty much, or,
mhm,
or steer it in a certain
Yeah.
direction
I would
and stuff
never
and certain
drop
things like that. That's a
somebody
pretty
who
good
would be
example of
high
like how often
costed.
that would happen, where somebody's like opinion gets kind of like brushed aside and not heard.
and to be clear, right? In those situations, it's likely that that high cost, high talent player is right and the other person is wrong. But it sucks to just like sit there and not know why you were wrong, and not
Mm-hmm.
have somebody. You know what I'm saying? So yes, being able, having the format, like a team organization format, that has the mechanisms to come to consensus, but also has the expectations and mechanisms by which we can make sure that even that person in that scenario understands everything, has their questions answered, has their concerns addressed, even, and so on.
Right. Okay. Okay. I get that. I get that. I get that.
Sorry to go on a bit of an essay there. I was kind of looking for the words to use.
Nah, it's good. You have to explain yourself a little more better. It was good though. Yeah. What you got, Spades? Did you find your answer?
I did, sadly. So I'll start off by saying I'm very known for dropping expensive players now.
Hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of what he said, I'll go into kind of shorter and sweeter. So if you signed up for this league and you get put on a team, you should expect to play at least a game. I make sure to put people into the roster, like put into the lineup. Say you didn't play yet, you're going to play this week. You signed up to play, you
Mm-hmm.
should play. I don't know why. Like there are some. It's not saying here, but like there are times where somebody literally is benched the entire season for reasons I definitely don't know. But I want people to play because they joined the league. We picked them, so we want them to play. I also like to kind of keep people to drafting their own teams and like get advice, but like they're kind of going to spearhead how they want this team to play out, whether they like playing Trick Room, Tailwind, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I basically say, all right, you get SV1 or you get SV3 or something, and we'll offer advice and we'll help you out and like work as a team to build a style of team that works well for you, so that whenever you get put into the lineup, you're playing a team you're comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's to a high level that everyone here, like, if you can't play a week but we want to play your team, it's a good team that everybody at least pitched in on and can play that team as well. So that's kind of my style. And then as far as dropping people, if you don't put a lot of effort in, we're gonna find someone who will. That's
Hmm.
unfortunately how it is. We gotta. This is a competitive league. We gotta win. So if we see something that somebody's like ghosting us or just not putting in a lot of effort, we will be looking to do that. But if you're someone who like whether you're 0 and 4, 0-5, whatever, if you're active and you're part of the team, you're not getting dropped. So that again, back to our core value of succeed together. If that's how you act, you want to succeed together, despite what your results say, you'll still be on the team. But if you pout, if you kind of just ghost us, don't respond to pings, and just overall have bad attitude, well, unfortunately, we're gonna have to move on.
No, for
And I'll
sure,
add
for
on
sure.
real.
Communication's pretty key in this kind of sense. I agree with you. I also don't
And
like dropping players who've been active and been helping out the team like in a good way. Like I also, even if they are negative, I would also keep them.
Mm-hmm.
I'll add one small thing on to what Spades was saying, and I'm in complete agreement as far as we'd like to have each person uh, more or less in charge of their own team so that they make sure that they have a team that they're comfortable with. I would like to ideally see each person also have a responsibility for mocking a team. If Team A gets selected for a week, then whoever is drafting and playing Team A, fair enough. But I'd also like there to be another person, and this doesn't have to be quite as official, but ideally, I'd like there to be another person who has responsibility for making sure that Team A gets mocks, because I think that having mocks available is very important.
Hmm. I found that in prior seasons, a lot of captains have complained that it was hard to find people who would willingly want to mock on the team, or they would like actively like want to mock their teammates and stuff like
Oh,
that,
it's
especially if
so
they aren't playing.
it's so rare. It's
I know
unicorn
last
level
season I
rareness.
got pretty lucky. I got really, really lucky. I had Impulse and Lagais who were like mocking every slot along with
Write this
myself and
down,
my
Spades.
co-captain.
Write this down.
Um, so they were a huge help out to everybody, as well as a couple of my other players. They would also help out and mock other people.
And I really do think, but also kind of just hope that if everyone kind of colloquially self-selects to be the designated mocker for one team, that'll help with that, and that we will get some good quality mocks. Because people take pride in it, right? It's one thing if somebody just like asks for mocks, and it's like, that's not, I don't know, I have the time. But if it's the team that you decided I'm going to help mock for this team, it does become a point of pride. So I hope that can help.
Yeah, I hope it
It will
works
be
out for you
key.
guys too. If you find any good mockers in the player pool, let me know. I want them too. I want them too. On God, on
Can we
God.
take log ice from you? I feel like a cash
Ooh.
award of some kind would be appropriate. We'll take log ice.
Only if I can replace Lagais with Lamuro.
I mean, actually, I would take that in a heartbeat.
Oh shit.
I have the check in hand.
Oh shit. Oh shit. That's a crazy shade. All right.
Uh,
Do you guys have any questions for me now?
so I guess I have a question then. What has been your reaction to how this league has progressed from season one to now when you have, a lot of VGC players now joining and just the overall size and popularity of it? How does it feel on your end as the commissioner, as well as the fantastic other staff members and Robin? Oh, excuse me. Was I supposed to say that?
Nah,
I
that's
don't think I.
insane. That's insane.
Yeah,
You're
sorry.
completely right. Fantastic other staff members, quotation marks, and
But how
then
does it feel? I just want to
parentheses,
know. Yeah.
and Robin. So for me personally, it's kind of like a surreal kind of growth. I've seen this come from like a small little team tour, kind of like a home league kind of team tour. Kind of now to like it is like the main VGC draft tour. I hear people from outside the community talk about how it's like prestigious and stuff in that kind of sense, and it feels kind of weird because it's like for me it's nowhere near like where I want it to be. Right. I want it to shoot even higher than this. I know it can shoot higher than this, but I am very, very happy where it is right now. That I would never have expected it to be like this so soon. This would have been like the end goal for me. Like this right here. This is how it is right now. But because it's so like early in this tour's lifespan, that means that it can shoot even higher, right? And it means that we can, as a community, we can grow VGC draft even more from here because we see that there is an interest in this kind of thing. Whether it be it is a team tour and not a solo tour, which is fine. Not everybody likes solo tours, right? Plenty of people like team tours. They are one of the main appeals of this draft. And this being one of the few, if not the only one for VGC draft, really shows that how much people really want to play this format. Because you have all these signups, right? We have more signups than so. There was a recently doubles OU team tour on Smogon. It's called Derby. We have more signups than Derby had, like right now currently, and that's a format on the official Smogon page, right? So it kind of just shows to you just like how much interest there is for this kind of thing, and I'm very happy and very proud of where we've brought it to this point in time. Like I said, I hope that we could keep growing the community more. It's not about getting complacent and being like, "Oh, this is good enough." No, we can do better, right?
Yeah, it's one of the tours that I at least highly recommend to people. Like if you've noticed in my server, whenever it's plugged, I put a message under saying highly recommend joining, and I even plug it myself. Like it is to me the top VGC tour to participate in. Like
And
you
like
get people who don't even play Showdown to come play this.
right.
That's the big thing. There's a lot of people who don't like playing Showdown at all. I can get them to join this.
Like yeah, I've heard that some people were like, "Oh, would you be able to play on cart on this?" For me, it was more like a consistency kind of thing because like not
Oh yeah,
everybody, we're gonna have to
100% agree
replay.
with that. Yeah, keep it all on Showdown. That's how this has been.
That's
That's how
something
it's
that
been brought
we
up
could look
as.
into the future if there is enough demand for it, though. 100%.
I think my answer to that will be no, because again, you've built this culture around everyone being able to like spectate all at the same time.
Right.
And the
Right.
accessibility of Showdown allows that way more than having to rely on someone's capture card, as well as the plethora of DCs that happen over Wi-Fi. Keeping it all on Showdown keeps the community aspect of it. It keeps the people in general together, and
Makes
it
it
allows all the
easy.
games to be there. And you can just go watch them all just on your own. They're quick. You don't have to spend 20 minutes watching a Wi-Fi match. You can just breeze through to watch a Showdown game. Like if you're scouting people for future weeks.
Click skip to the end. Did my team win? Skip to the end. Fuck.
Well, usually it's in the server. They either say like the F word or you see a bunch of goat emojis. That's like
True. That's it right there. You see, if a captain, you see a bunch of goat emojis after your players played, you know you won.
And then if you see like the F word or you see a bunch of like, well, you tried or just like that, like
You don't even know. I don't even need to open it. I be doing that sometimes. If I know my player lost, I don't even open the replay. I'm like, I ain't gonna watch this.
We're gonna have to reverse this trend, Spades, on our team. Anytime somebody wins, we gotta start having everyone spam. Well, you tried. Well, you tried. And if
That's
for
crazy.
losses,
That's
emoji.
crazy.
You did so well. Good job.
That'd be
We'll
a
give out
crazy
gold
prank.
star.
If somebody didn't know you were doing that, diabolical. But yeah, the main thing behind STC, especially with growing, is when this is growing, this grows all the other VGC draft communities around it, right? Because VGC draft is pretty split. Like you have WBG, you have SCDA, like you have those two, and then you have like a bunch of like smaller communities all around them, right? Kind of all like spread out. And we all kind of like, do our own thing. But like as a whole, if once this tour has like all that interest, because it is plugged everywhere, it is kind of like that meeting point for other leagues and be like, okay, well, we can branch out like into all these other leagues from here, right? And we can grow VGC draft as a whole.
I have a couple questions for you, Hopeless. So question 1. As far as I can tell, because I've been watching a lot of SPL videos for this season, you're pretty heavily involved with helping a lot of the people with their teams, helping them draft, helping them prep, but you're not playing in SPL. Why is that?
Oh, you mean Shuckle Premier League, Joey's league?
Yeah.
Well, for starters, I'm not a big YouTuber. I don't think I'd be qualified enough to play in that kind of league, at least in the
Okay, fair
YouTube
enough.
sense. Um, I highly respect a
You
lot of the
could be
players
pretty
there.
easily, though, I think.
Hmm?
I think you could start a YouTube channel and do pretty well pretty quickly, though.
It's
all
actually
this
been something on my mind to get into streaming and all that. I would need a better computer, but
Just
I
win more
think
tournaments. Get
Yeah.
a computer easy.
that's true. That's true. If I win Atlanta, that's gonna be on the mind.
When
That's gonna
you
be on my
win
mind.
Atlanta.
Yeah, I think it's just like in a YouTuber sense. I'm not really where I'd like to be, and I wouldn't wanna like because I was already like a mod and helping them and all that. I wouldn't want to like try to like force myself into that roster. You know what I mean? Like I'm very much happy helping the coaches, tearing, doing mod action, all that kind of stuff. I'm very much just happy doing all that sort of thing rather than playing. Like that's enough for me,
Gotcha.
right?
And I wasn't trying
And
to ask an uncomfortable
SPL doing
question or
very
anything.
well. SPL doing very well is good because why? Because now we have content for VGC draft out there. So people who are more casual, they'll see that and they'll want to play.
Okay. Follow-up question. Well, I guess it's not a follow-up. So, which effect would you say is greater? Obviously, the growth of WBG and STC has given you more connections in the VGC world that have helped you succeed there, I'm sure, and also vice versa. Succeeding in the VGC world has brought more prestige and so on, and more people to these leagues, and they have grown a lot. But which of those effects would you say is greater? The growth of WBG helping your VGC career, or your VGC results helping grow WBG and STC?
I think they're both kind of play hand in hand, right? Whenever you're a figure, like the head figure of a league, you represent your league, right? Like I represent WBG. If I were to go out and like start crashing out and be like 200 Candies, who was, I don't know if you guys know, but he was like banned last season for being
That's
racist,
so
right?
specific.
Who is 200? I don't know this person at
He
all.
was a VGC guy. I use him because we banned him last season for being racist. So if I were to start doing all that, it would bring everything down as a whole, right? Because I represent my league, right? You'd look at WBG and be like, wait, this guy's racist. I don't think I want to play there, or I don't really
Right.
respect this guy, right? And I'm just not gonna bother for that, right? So like as a whole, I think they both play in the same sense where I represent WBG and WBG represents me. So it's kind of like the same thing in whole, where my success and WBG's success kind of play like hand in hand with each other.
Right.
Because when I just say I do very well in tours, right? I can use that as a leveraging point to probably bring in like higher skill players into it, right? And when you have higher skill players, those attract other higher skill players, right? Let's say I get one high skill player, right? I get two, and then there's like 3 or 4 in the league, right? Now there's other ones I can use to kind of sign up, be like, hey, these guys are playing this season. You want to come? You want to come play? Like, with these guys again. It's like, oh, sure, right? Because a lot of those kind of players are all kind of interconnected.
Yeah.
Like it shows you like this season with Seven, Justin Tang, like they brought in all their guys, right? Like you see how many people came in to come play for them and stuff like that, and they're very high level players.
Do you ever think you'll get Shiliang Teng to play?
No clue. No. Maybe we could ask Justin Tang. We can ask him. His interview's coming up soon.
All right, excellent. You gotta shill for your interest in that one. get Shiliang in here.
Oh man, it's cool though to see all these IRL players come play though. That's awesome.
You know who I want to see play again? Wolfie, because I know that's probably a generic answer, but seeing Wolfie's season, I think it maybe was SPL actually, but it was like 3 or 4 years ago, was what originally got me into playing draft leagues, and then he just never played anymore.
I believe Wolfie Glick doesn't like draft league. There's a whole bunch of drama behind it. I believe he doesn't like it though. It's like a whole bunch of draft league. It's like old school. You wouldn't know, but it's a whole bunch of like old school draft league drama. Yeah.
Wasn't it like all the comments for his opponent, like they just rammed him to death?
It's a little bit more. I think that's one of the things. I think there's a lot more than
I
that
think
though.
that was the big like red flag went up the pole one, right? It's like,
Mhm.
well,
Oh no, yeah. It was pretty intense back then. I don't see people doing that anymore nowadays, like at all. People took their YouTuber draft leagues very seriously.
of course. And now no one cares.
Do you have any other questions for me?
I think I'm good.
Yeah, I don't think so. Not at this time.
All right, and now we're gonna have some lightning round questions. I'm just gonna ask you a couple questions with your preferences of drafting. If you have a specific gen in mind, you can say so. These will just be in mind of Gen 9. All right. So, well, we're just gonna start here. We're gonna do tailwind setters, high tier, mid tier, or low tier. Which are your guys' personal preference when it comes to draft?
Mid tier tailwind setters.
I like Whimsicott. I like Tornet. I like the real good tailwind setters. I don't like the bad ones.
Mm-hmm.
No,
I don't feel like I ever bring them, and it's a me problem. I don't actually bring them, and then I don't get use out of them.
High tier damage, mid to low tier support, easy.
Who are you calling like a mid tier? Like, who do you have in your mind when you say a mid tier tailwind setter? Who's the first one?
Rabombi.
Oh, Rabombi. Interesting. Okay, that is a pretty mid tier one. My thought was like Iron Jugulus is like a mid tier tailwind setter.
Kilowattro, I'm a big fan of too, but that's like on the border. I would think maybe it's mid tier.
I don't think you can go much lower than Kilowattro, like on our tier list. I think that's the lowest one.
Oh, fair enough. Kilowattro, Rabombi, Jugs is fun. I'm just not into Whims and Torn. I think they're overrated.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I draft Whims, I think I'm gonna really like it, and then I trade it away at some point, unfortunately. But I like Iron Jugulus, and I like Hydreigon. I know he's not like mid tier, but he's not like a prankster.
He's a mid tier tailwind setter. That's mid tier. He might be very much into mid tier. I think he's like 11 points or something.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, I like those guys in the sense that they do feel like they are strong even when they're not setting tailwind, and just because they do a lot of damage. But yeah, for low tiers, I'm the problem, but because I always feel like I'm not gonna. I just never actually bring them.
Mm-hmm.
But I love Shiftry, and I want to use Shiftry, and it got sniped, and I was actually gonna bring it this season.
Shiftry's kind of fire.
Yeah. It had everything I needed. I needed beat up. I needed tailwind. I needed another
I think it's beat up. I didn't even know that. Wow.
Yeah.
No, that guy's heat. He can set tailwind and he can play in it like really well. That guy's fire.
Yeah.
He gave him the new ability, which is what made him like actually
like
not good, but
like viable enough.
I feel like he might honestly be kind of good.
In a sense of a low tier. I mean, like if you compare it to like a Brambleghast, maybe.
I don't think Reg F he's got the legs, but maybe in Reg H.
Maybe in Reg H he's like Timothy the Third.
Speaking of Brambleghast, Brambleghast is higher on the tier list than Shiftry, despite I don't think Brambleghast even gets tailwind.
No, but Brambleghast has like you'd have to actually see the damage numbers Brambleghast does. It's quite disgusting.
Oh no, Brambleghast is him if there is one.
Okay, hey, maybe I'm just being a hater.
Maybe
I'm just being a hater.
If you land all your Power Whips and Poltergeist, Brambleghast is like the best Pokemon in the world. For real.
And when you miss him,
yeah, that guy's terrible. All right. Next question. This is gonna be for Trick Room. High tier, mid tier, or low tier? I prefer low tier personally.
What is Trick Room?
Oh, true.
I love mid tier Trick Room setters, and except for I really love a particular low tier one, Lunatone. I think Lunatone is really really good.
I thought you were gonna say Gothitelle, and I was gonna get up from my chair.
The low tier Trick Room setter Gothitelle. That's a crazy statement.
Trick Room with my Gothitelle.
Low tier Trick Room setter Gothitelle is a crazy statement. That thing's nowhere near low tier.
I was ready for it though. I was ready for it for some reason.
That was fun. That would have been funny.
was prepared.
I think a lot of people prefer mid-tier ones. Mid-tier ones that come to my mind are like Jellicent. Well, they're not in SV, but like Jellicent or Sharna. They're like two like mid-tier ones.
Where do you put Oranguru as a Trick Room setter?
I think Oranguru is
Specifically.
mid-tier.
Yeah.
For high tier SV, I'm thinking like Cresselia, even though I don't think it's like a good trick room setter. It's not amazing. I think it is high tier though. You have Porygon 2 and you have like Sinistra would be like your best three.
Yeah. So but you would say Goth is high tier.
Yeah, I think Goth
Or-
is high tier.
Yeah.
It's like right there on the cusp of it.
Yeah, it's awkward because I do feel like as a Trick Room
You also
setter,
have
there honestly are better
Screamtail,
ones.
who even though Screamtail's very fast, you wouldn't really try to set trick room with it too often. It can do that. I've seen a lot of people do it.
Are we rating the thing like the tier of the thing as the thing specifically, or just like the mon overall, and then like they can do this thing?
Normally, where Pokemon kind of lie on the tier list, kind of would relate
Okay.
to them being a high tier, mid tier, or low tier, right? I wouldn't say if a Pokemon is high tier and it's sitting in like 7 points, then like what are we doing, right?
No, I just mean like say there was a mon who's like a high tier mon. But not actually particularly good at the thing. When we're answering, should we answer?
Then you
That-
shouldn't consider it, right? Because like me, I was like, would you consider Fluttermane a trick room setter? No. I didn't say
Okay.
Fluttermane. I said Screamtail. I said Screamtail specifically, even though it has a high speed stat, is because people will say Trick Room with Screamtail, and it can do that.
Okay. All right.
It's always low tier for me. Although I don't build teams around Trick Room, I just kind of have cheeky Trick Room things that I could do once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't. My main game plan is never Trick Room. It just never worked for me. I can't do hard Trick Room. I don't know how people can.
I don't think
I
hard Trick
tried-
Room's good. I don't think it's
Yeah,
good.
I tried hard Trick Room in a draft once, and I learned, and I could be wrong, but I learned that if you are obviously going to click Trick Room and can't also click Tailwind, your opponents just have an advantage over you already immediately in every round, because then they get to spend all their points on bulk, and you look like an idiot because you lose all your games and miss all your rolls. It sucks.
Mm-hmm. We probably would like Spades strikes me as the kind of guy who would draft like an Iron Hands, but then put it on like a Tailwind build. Play with Tail Room. Get like a decent like mid tier Tailwind setter. Get a low tier Trick Room setter. Play with your base 50. You can EV it to however you want per week, depending on what you need it for. And then you could bring your mid tier. Probably bring your mid tier. You could bring your low tier. Stuff like that could work out pretty well.
Irabombi Iron Hands team is gonna be heat.
Mm-hmm. Iron Hands, he can play on both. That's a good Pokemon right there. Right. Next will be Fake Out. High tier, mid tier, or low tier?
Never mid tier.
God, that's such a hard question. So my answer to this will be you should look at getting a good fake out mon. If your fake out mon is not good, like if it's an Eviolite fake out mon, I think you should avoid those. Like my preference would probably be like mid or high for that. But I see a lot of people like say, "Oh, I need fake out," and then they pick like Litten, or they pick Tinka Tink, or Tinka Tough. It's like, or what are like good ones? I'm gonna say it. I hate Torracat. So Torracat, you pick Torracat. It's like, I feel like that's not as good a use of what you want out of the fake out mon. Because like the whole point of a fake out mon is not just to click fake out. What else can this thing do? And so like I feel like Torracat misses the mark a lot for what its secondary mode of doing damage and like Will-O-Wisp and Intimidate, I guess. So what you should do is you should pick a higher tier fake out mon that you're going to feel good about bringing to games and you can build actual game plans with, and not things like Torracat, Tinkatuff, etc.
What's interesting is I agree entirely with your logic, but I think I reach a very different conclusion in the sense that I feel like the mid tiers, a lot of the mons that are like mid tier because they like get fake out, I feel like are overpriced, and I feel like I would never be willing to bring them to a game. I can't think of an example right now, but then I think of mons like Shiftry or Torracat, and I'm like, yeah, I would bring Torracat. I would bring Thwacky. I wouldn't bring Tinkatuff. I made that mistake one too many times. She's horrible. But I would not feel good bringing a lot of the mid-tier fake outers. I wouldn't feel good drafting them. I would feel like it was a waste of my points. I just feel like I just don't like mid-tiers very much, to be honest.
That is the hype.
They are mid tier. They are mid
top-heavy
for a reason.
mentality.
It's literally in the name. It's called mid. For me, it's always high tier. I always prefer high tier. Iron Hands, Rillaboom clears like every other guy. They are broken Pokemon. They're amazing. You can bring them to every game. They've mini set. Don't even need to run fake out. And because they pressure so much on builder that with fake out you can run stuff like SD very easily on both Pokemon, and it's very good. That's why I like both of them. That's why I always say high tier in SV because of Rillaboom and Iron Hands.
Hopeless, do you like Persian Alola?
I think it's ugly.
Yeah, but as a draft mon, Persian Alola, Scrafty.
Scrafty's fine. Scrafty's a good Pokemon.
You just judge them how they look. Is that how you determine if you like them on or not?
Yeah, pretty much. If I think the Pokemon's ugly, I'm gonna draft it. Like Heatran, I guess ugly.
Oh, it's
I'm gonna
so
draft him.
true.
Okay, I said I hate mid-tier fake outers, but I'm like looking through our C tier and I actually kind of like all of them. I like Weavile just fine. I love Tinkaton.
Oh, Sneezer's also a very good one.
It should be a mon that you don't feel bad about bringing to a match.
Yeah.
If you feel bad about having this mon to a game, you need to rethink your fake out mon.
How do you feel about Morgrem Spades? Do you count that as low
Poorly.
tier?
I think
You don't like
Morgan's
Morgan?
always overrated.
Right.
It would be really interesting to see like a tier list ranking, how people differ on like the mid and low tier fake out mons, like which ones they think are worth it versus not.
Mm-hmm.
But that's for another time, perhaps.
Oh, for sure. All right. One last question. Follow me. High tier, mid tier, or low tier?
It's mid tier for me. Like my draft strategy is pick high tier damage, and then the mid to low tier support. So
Mhm.
follow me being support. I'm always gonna go lower on that.
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of just got the same answer as always. I don't like mid tier mons very much. I think as few of them as possible. I don't mind drafting the utility mons with my high tiers in leagues where it's viable to go like top heavy and bottom heavy. In
Mhm.
leagues where it's more structured, where you like kind of have to pick like a good amount of B and C tiers, it's harder to do. But
Mm-hmm.
in general, I think I really like to. Yeah, I don't mind my follow me's, my fake outs, and so on. Any of my like utility support guys being higher tier or lower tier, I just don't like the
Mhm.
tiers very much.
I get that.
I'm like looking through the SCDA tier list right now at which mid tier mons even get follow me. I don't think we have any in the C
I
tier.
mean, it's really just Electivire,
Toedscruel.
Magmortar.
Toedscruel. Toedscruel's pretty good.
Well, we're not
I
counting Rage Powder.
Oh,
Kind of
okay,
just
okay.
follow me. Rage
Well,
Powder is very much less reliable. But
I would say for me, always high tier because of Ogerpons. They're kind of like their own kind of thing, like their own kind of Pokemon. They're so broken, but like Ogerpons, like there's three viable ones, one good one. Good one being Teal Mask, Cornerstone, Heartflame with Water Pond, all being like really good. Like all of them.
but this goes back to Spades' point. When you draft Ogerpon and you bring him to a match, are you really like, and I'm probably wrong here, so maybe help me understand. Are you really happy to be clicking follow me on him most of the time, or
Yes.
wouldn't you rather sword stance and slap somebody or something, or encore? I don't know.
Ogerpon falls into the weird category of like I would draft it because it's a high tier damage. Like I said, that's what I like drafting. But then it has that second. I don't see Ogerpon as a follow me mon.
Right.
Almost as like Mousehold, but Mousehold is like kind of partially of both. That's weird.
See,
But Ogerpon I see more as a high tier damage, so I would agree with you in that sense. I would pick Ogerpon as a high tier damage, and then I just get follow me kind of stapled onto it. But
I would pick Ogerpon, loving that it has that stapled on, but then I don't think that I would ever make great use of it because I feel like I've got a mental block on that.
Mhm.
Like personally, as a personal shortcoming.
Why did we give Follow Me Mons actual damage?
Right.
What are we doing?
It is
Oh.
cool that one has water absorb though.
I mean, it was like
That-
Togekiss last generation, right? Togekiss was like, oh, is this going to be Follow Me or is it going to be Dynamax Max Airstream?
See, I don't know. I'm the problem here, but I feel differently about Togekiss. I love Togekiss, and I would gladly go damage or support on it at any given match.
Mhm.
I don't know where my mental block is here. Maybe it's because I loved Ally Switch too much, and I'm just sad it's gone.
You did not need to speak those words back into existence.
Well, I mean, like,
You know,
Ally Switch, technically, Ally Switch isn't gone. It's still here. Just different.
It's off all of my favorite Pokemon to use it on though.
And
Mhm.
now we have to remember that it's in Sword and Shield, and we're about to play a format with Sword and Shield. And you just reminded whoever watches this that that is a move. It's like saying the guy's name 3 times, and then he shows up behind you. You have 2 more, or actually, it's probably been said twice now. We have 1 more, and then everyone runs it. So
The thing
you gotta
is,
be careful.
Spades, if somebody hears this and decides to put Ally Switch, got 'em on their Gen 8 team,
We're
I'll
doomed
play them.
now.
And I'm going to not even see. The thing about Ally Switch is you just have to not predict it while knowing it's possible, and just honestly kind of randomly click. You'll get there. You'll get the right guy.
True,
Just feel
true.
the
You'll get the
vibe.
right guy eventually. You'll get the right guy. That's true.
Just click neutral moves. It doesn't matter who you hit. Whatever. Spread moves. It's whatever you got to do.
Remind that I was not the sinner who said this word, this move, his name. Do not inflict harm onto me. Inflict harm on my partner who has just said that. Just so it's on record, I was not the one who said it.
That's true. Hey, I'll take it. I'll take it.
That's funny.
Do we have like a Men in Black thing we can do at the end of this?
Maybe.
Everything
Would you like
about
to?
the interview. Of course. Let's put a Men in Black thing at the end. That'd be so funny.
We definitely could. Right. Do you guys have any closing thoughts here before I wrap this up?
Let's go. Season, what is it, 4?
This is season 4 of STC. That is correct.
Season 4, remember, 200 applicants. We get best of 9. That's what I heard.
Mm-hmm.
So, keep it going.
And if you like high communication team environments, reach out.
Yes, we don't know a lot of you, so if you message us and say your interests, there's a higher likelihood we will pick you. Like every other team, probably. So.
Right. This was our 4th captain interview here. I appreciate you both for coming here and taking the time to speak to me. I will be closing off the video now. See you guys for the next interview.